It's Ken Harbaugh with the MeidasTouch Network. CNN just held a town hall with an indicted criminal, someone found guilty by a jury of defamation, and the crowd in that CNN studio laughed and cheered when the former president mocked his abuse victim and when he said he'd pardon the insurrectionists who tried to overthrow our government. I'm not going to replay any of it because I don't want to give Donald Trump or the network that gave him this platform another second of airtime. But I will share part of a conversation I just had with Mary Trump, the former president's niece, about what just happened. She does an incredible job undercutting the argument that CNN somehow did the public a service by hosting this town hall. Here it is.
If you had told me that 3 years later things would be worse, I would not have believed you. And they are.
They are. You tore into CNN on Twitter. I'm going to read that back to you. And then I got a question. You said in less than an hour, they allowed an authoritarian wannabe to lie constantly while an audience full of his followers applauded. This was not a town hall. It was a rally. Tonight's CNN fiasco was a tragedy for American democracy. I'm with you. But what do you make of those? Because I want to hear this point of view. What do you make of those who say that CNN may have done us a favor by putting the former president in front of an audience that he could comfortably perform for so the rest of us could be reminded of who he really is?
Well, first of all, they're not going to do that for Joe Biden.
No.
So I'll say that. But even if they did, that's not the point. This is allegedly a news organization.
Right.
This is they are not cruise directors. They are not party planners. And their job is to make sure that the American people receive factual information. The truth about Donald Trump, we know the truth about Donald Trump. We don't need to give him that kind of platform to show people. Yeah, I suppose there is this, I don't even know if it's not a serious argument, but okay, so if you need to take something away from it, yes, we got to see what a vicious bully he is, because that's news. We got to see that he is dedicated to an extreme right-wing agenda. Also, not news because he's going to do whatever the Republican Party tells him to do if he wants their support. He continued to defame a woman who prevailed against him in a court of law. I don't care what Marco Rubio says. That is the American justice system at its finest, and anybody who attacks the process or who attacks that jury is a part of the problem. Yeah, we got to see who his followers are. I don't know. Did you guys watch January 6th? Have you seen his rallies? We know who these people are. I don't think that's a reason. I don't think it's an excuse for the egregious decision that CNN made at all.
My underlying fear here is less a fear of Donald Trump as an individual than of the tens of millions of followers who actually gravitate to that message. And as you said, it doesn't require a majority of Americans. The Republicans are being very strategic in how to create and solidify a system that will allow them to maintain power with a minority of votes. And you saw the response of that crowd. And I think it is the tip of the iceberg. It is just a harbinger of what's going to play out in these swing states. And it's, again, it's not the tens of millions of voters in California and New York and most of the country. It's in a handful of swing states, and too many of them love that message. So seeing him for who he is, it's going to bring out the worst side of us. And that's something you speak about in the book as well. This president giving America permission to indulge its worst instincts. Hi, Burn the Boats fans. I want to take a quick break to talk about our sponsor for today's show, Rhone. Men's closets are long overdue for a radical reinvention, and Rhone has stepped up to the challenge. Rhone's commuter collection represents the most comfortable, breathable, and flexible clothes I've ever found. Rhone makes it so easy to get ready for any occasion. The commuter collection offers the world's most comfortable pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, and polos. Rhone's comfortable 4-way stretch fabric provides breathability and flexibility that leaves you free to enjoy whatever life throws your way, from your commute to work to weekends at the kids' ball games. Looking good is easy with Rhone's wrinkle release technology, which makes wrinkles magically disappear, seriously, as you wear the products. It's really that easy. I don't have time between work and family and everything in between to worry about dry cleaning or ironing. With Rhone, I don't have to. I just wear and go. And I feel great doing it. Even after a long day, Rhone feels clean and new and just as comfortable as the moment I put it on. You got to try it out. Head to rhone.com/boats and use promo code BOATS to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to rhone.com/boats and use code BOATS. Trust me, Rhone makes choosing what to wear not just easy, but classy and comfortable. That's rhone.com/boats.
Yeah, and you said at the very beginning of the show, you mentioned voter suppression. And that is why the Electoral College makes this so dangerous. If there were no Electoral College, we wouldn't even have to have this. Well, we would have to have this conversation because the developments are so dangerous. But we wouldn't be worried about the election. That's for sure. Not in the way, I mean, we're white knuckling this right now. And the Republicans know that they only have to focus on 3 states. And again, to those people who support the Electoral College, do you think that's democracy when candidates literally can ignore 47 of the 50 states? It's just absolutely absurd. But that's why they have 3 tools at their disposal. They have gerrymandering, they have voter subversion, and thanks to Donald, who really can take credit for very little, but he can take credit for this one. We have voter subversion, which is the idea that the election results are illegitimate if your candidate doesn't win. And that's only happening on the right side, or on the right, I should say. So if you put on top of that the media's willingness to normalize Donald, like to treat him as if he's a normal candidate, not somebody who was impeached twice, who planned and incited an insurrection, and who perpetuated the big lie and continues to perpetuate the big lie. And that's leaving aside Georgia. That's leaving aside sexual assault and all of the other many crimes he committed and allegedly committed. Then when they're also normalizing his followers, that's when we get into real trouble. Because as you say, there's nothing normal about their relationship to their candidate, their support for their candidate, the things about him they support. You know, I've always thought that one of the purposes of liberal democracy was to kind of wall off that, 25 to 28% of us who, the white supremacists, the Christian nationalists, the misogynists, the anti-Semites, and just, yes, they get their vote, but they don't get an outsized voice in how things are done. And a lot of people forget that between 2017 and 2019, that 28% was represented by 100% of the federal government. The Republicans had the White House, they had Congress, and they had the Supreme Court. So that percentage grew because it suddenly became okay again to be openly white nationalist, openly somebody who prefers AR-15s to the lives of our children, and on and on and on. And yeah, we saw that exemplified pretty well last night, didn't we?
We did. And the power of that movement is growing. And as you put it in another recent interview, white supremacy is now the political platform of one of our two major political parties. It is not indicative of where a majority of Americans are, but that doesn't matter when you have a political strategy that is refined enough to focus on those 77,000 votes. You can regain power and remain in power for a long time, even though a majority of Americans don't want that. Mary Trump said it better than I ever could. The media's willingness to treat Donald Trump like a normal candidate is dangerous. Democracy itself is at stake. We already know exactly who Trump is, and we know what his extremist followers want this country to become. We cannot let that happen. And right now, Joe Biden is our best hope of stopping it. Mary Trump has so much more wisdom to share. We're going to post the full Burn the Boats interview as soon as possible. Make sure to follow the MeidasTouch network to catch every episode of Burn the Boats as they come out. Thanks.
Hey, Meidas Mighty. Love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.